This
hard line on the
conference will
phone.
now be recorded.
Okay.
A word to everybody, when you have a comment, regardless of what your comment is, you have to give your name first, okay?
I spoke to both applicants today too and verified that they had the information and knew how to sign in. Looks like one of them maybe.
We have one coming in.
There's Jill. Hey, Jill. Hello.
Hi.
We just got to unmute them.
Dorothea, this is Jeff. Dorothea, you want to talk to people about muting if they're not talking to eliminate
Yep.
the background noise?
Yep, I did explain that. If, like I said, if you get any background, we try to avoid background noise. If you can mute yourself when you're not speaking, that always helps.
Thank you,
Mr. and Mrs. Crooker, I'm not sure if you can hear us, but you're muted. Just unmute yourself. I sent you an unmute request.
Yay.
Okay.
Okay, there you are.
Yep.
Should we start this meeting? We don't have 42 Jefferson yet, but we could start with 19 or 15 Sutherland. Can we do that?
We'd be happy with that.
Yes, it's fine with me.
Okay,
Lynn.
all right. Okay, well, this is Bill McBride. I'm chairman of the Historic Preservation Board, and I'm going to be moderating this meeting. We have everybody visually online except me, and I have to do it by telephone because I'm having trouble with the internet connection. This is, it's Monday, May 11th, 2020. It's time to open this Historic Preservation Board meeting, and I do so. And I'm going to read a statement that positions this whole thing. Pursuant to Governor Cuomo's recent Executive Order 202.1, and due to the coronavirus pandemic, the Village Hall is closed to the public during official meetings. The members of the HPB and the applicants for this meeting will participate in the HPB meeting from their homes for this meeting. This HPB meeting will be made available to the public for viewing through video conferencing link if they so choose, which is identified as the village on the village website. This is a unique experience for us. This is the first time we've done this. We did a practice session the other night and it seemed to go well. So I'm gonna, do we have both applicants online now, 42 Jefferson?
It looks
Yes.
like they're muted.
Okay, could they unmute? We'll start with 42 Jefferson, if they're available.
that better?
Yep,
Yeah,
Mr. King,
is
you
that
are.
42 Jefferson?
42 East Jefferson, yes.
Okay. My name's Bill McBride. I'm chairman, and I asked you to tell us what you propose to do at in your application, and please state your name at the beginning of your discussion.
Okay, my name is Bill Kane. The last name looks like Keen. I've dealt with that my whole life, but our plan is to remove the existing metal fence on the west side of our backyard and the cross fence that goes from our garage to the fence I just mentioned, and replace that with a dog-eared wooden fence with a gate. There'll be a gate in the front. We also will be removing the front plastic or vinyl white fence that's apparently was never approved in the past.
Yeah, and that was put on, as I understand, before you purchased the house, but not by
Yes.
you, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right.
Hey,
Okay.
Bill, Jeff Turner here. Did you do a conflict of interest disclosure?
No, I'm sorry. I should have. I'm going to poll each member of this board and ask if they would like to recuse themselves from either one of the two applications that we have today. Please state your name and whether you choose to recuse yourself. Okay. Well, I'll start it off. Lisa Cove, do you choose to recuse yourself?
No.
Ken Morrow,
No, I don't choose to recuse myself.
Mark Harrington.
Mark Harrington says no.
Okay. And Ginny,
Earl.
do you? Nope. Okay. So nobody wants to recuse themselves.
No, I do not choose to recuse myself.
Okay. By the way, this is Ginny's first meeting on the Historic Pittsford Board. She returns to the board after years of absence, and she spent many years on the board and even chairman of the board a few years ago. So welcome, Ginny.
Thank you. Quite a few years ago.
Yeah. I'm sorry to cut you off, Mr. Keene. You were talking about your fence. Would you describe the height, the materials, the gate that you want to put on it, if you would,
Yes.
please?
Yep. It's a 6-foot-high fence, dog-eared style, wooden, obviously. I believe it's pine, but similar to a lot of other fences in the community here. The gate will be on the section of the fence it'll be perpendicular to the main fence that's going to be put in, that goes from the garage to the fence, the new fence. Right now, there's nothing there. Right now, we have that vinyl fence that's closer to the front of the garage, but we're removing that. So.
And the new gate will be toward the back of the garage, in the back of the house. Is that correct?
Yes.
All fencing will be within your property line.
Yes.
Replacing existing fencing. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any questions from the board?
Yes, this is Lisa Cove. I have a question for Bill. I guess I'm a bit confused. I'm looking at this photo of the old fence, the one you're going to remove.
Mm-hmm.
And normally I like to see a picture from the front view of the house where this fence, the new one, is going to go. I see all the backyard photos.
I thought I did provide a front view from the driveway.
A front view of the home?
Yeah, that would show.
Right here. That one?
I can't see it.
Okay, so I guess my question is, where is the fence gonna be? Is it gonna replace the
gonna-
vinyl one?
Going to be in the exact same spot as the current fence because we're removing that fence. There's currently a wire metal fence there now.
And this is all on the west
Right,
side of
the
the
white
house,
fence,
is that
okay.
correct?
On the west side of the house within our property line.
This is Steve.
Where
This
the
is
other-
Steve. This is
Yes.
Steve. Lisa, the white fence right now, if you move that back, straight back to the back of the garage, that's where the new wood fence will be. It's the same profile, running the parallel to it. The only difference is going to be at the back of the garage, not the front. It was impossible to give you a picture because that fence is right there.
This
You know what
is
I mean?
Jenny,
You can't see through it.
this is Jenny Searle. The new fence will attach to the west rear corner of the garage. Is that
That's
correct,
cor-
Mr.
That's
Kane?
correct. Yes,
Mr. Kane?
yes.
And it's a new fence. There is not one, it's not a replacement. They're tearing down the one in front of the garage, the plastic fence in front of the garage on the west side.
So really, again, this is Lisa Coe. Really, we're only gonna see that face of the fence that you showed us, and it's gonna be set back from what is originally here in that plastic one. It's gonna be set
Right.
back quite a bit, right?
Right, exactly. The current, that white vinyl fence sits almost in the very adjacent to the front of the garage. The new
Right.
fence will start in the back of the garage at the very
Great.
end.
Great, okay.
So it'll be back probably, I want to say 15 or 20 feet, whatever that is.
So it'll be less visual from the street.
Yes.
Anybody else have any thoughts, questions?
Excuse me, Jenny Searle speaking. The material is pressure treated wood. Will it just be left to weather? Are you going to put any preservative or stain on it or anything like that?
I haven't decided either way yet, whether I might paint it white. I'm not sure. I have to talk to the contractor to see. Normally you wait a while before the
Right.
wood is ready to
Right.
accept any type of
Yeah.
covering like that. So I'm going to talk to him first, but yeah, either
Okay.
way, we'll be putting something on it.
Okay, just a
Yeah.
question, whether it's pressure treated or not, it'll last longer if it has some sort of
Right.
finish or preservative.
No, that's a good question.
This is Mark Harrington. I just have a question on the last two, actually not the last two, but close to the last two photographs. There's a picture, it looks like, of the backyard
Mhm.
that has a fence that's part of wire fence and part slightly collapsed
Yeah,
wooden
there's-
fence. Is that
That's a good question.
Okay.
There are two existing current fences. One was the former owner of this. Can you hear my dog? I'm sure you can. Cody.
Yes.
Cody.
No, it's all right, it's all right.
I thought that was a member.
Yeah, okay. The
Mute
old fence
yourself
will
when
also,
you're not talking.
there used to be,
On the
and-
computer is parking.
and there's a partial wooden stockade style fence, would be the same height as the fence we're going to put in. That's
And it looks
pretty
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 partially
decrepit.
collapsed.
Pretty decrepit now. We're removing all of that as well. That's all coming out.
Gotcha.
So the only structure that'll be there will be the new fence. Everything okay now? Okay.
Any other
Okay.
thoughts, questions from board members? If not, I'm going to make a motion to approve. I make a motion to approve a 6-foot-high dog-eared picket solid style pressure-treated fence that would begin and that would replace the existing fence that's very deteriorated on the west side of the house. It would begin at the rear of the garage. It would also add a new feature for a fence that would include move the fence from where it ends at the west side of the house to the back of the garage with a gate that is about 8 foot wide and opens in the middle for access. That also is a 6 foot high, same pressure treated dog-eared fence. The applicant has agreed to remove a fence at the front of the garage on the west side that was put in not to code by a previous owner. And all of the fencing will be on the applicant's side of the property. The finished side of the fence must be on the outside. The inside contains the posts and the structural units for the fence. That is proposed. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, do you want me
Who
to
is
roll?
that?
Jenny Searle, I second.
Okay, and how do we vote?
I'm gonna do a roll call. Hello?
Okay,
Okay. Okay, Member McBride,
yes, I vote yes.
Member Cole,
Yes.
Member Morrow,
Yes.
Member Harrington,
Harrington votes yes.
Member Searle.
Searle votes yes.
Motion passes.
So be it, the motion passes. Thank you.
Mr. Steve, the building inspector, Mr. and Mrs. Keen,
Mr.?
Mr. Keen?
Yes.
Yeah, just, I don't know if I think you previously filled out a building permit already for it, didn't you?
Yes. I
Okay,
did.
I'll take care of that tomorrow.
Okay, great. So what do I do going forward now?
I will call you when the permit's done and you can pick it up. We'll figure out how to get it to you.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. That was interesting.
Let's do it before the next.
You're the very first
Person comes up.
applicant we've ever done this for.
Great. So I've made history.
Yeah, you have.
Yep.
Okay, the next application is 15 Sutherland Street, Peter and Jill Crocker. Do we have them online?
We are.
Wonderful.
We're
Good.
here.
Okay. Would you folks please tell us what you're proposing to do?
Sure. We'd like to put railings on our front steps approaching our porch in front of the house. These would be painted white. They would look exactly like the ones that are there. We'd have to construct one for the left side. Are you looking at the picture, by the way, of the front entrance? There's going to be one on either side and down the steps inside those concrete structures.
You stated, like the railings that are there, you're talking about the railings that exist around the porch, the wooden porch itself, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Okay. There have never been railings down the sides of the steps.
No, we have all the plans from when the house was built in 1916, and they never put them there. What we've learned since we've been here 45 years is that it's really a safety situation now, that we need to have handrails to go down the stairs, whether it's bad weather or good. and that's why we want to add them.
This is,
And
this is-
what you're proposing then would be to pick up the style and the design of the fence around the porch and bring that down both sides
That's right,
by,
exactly like
by
there.
slightly moving one of the fence posts on the right side facing the house so that it's parallel with the inside of the stone feature that's in the front, and then duplicating that post for the other side, and the two bottom posts would be a duplication of the upper posts.
That's right,
exist.
right on the walk, yes.
This is Lisa Cove. Can I give a little background to this structure, please?
Yep.
Okay, so according to our records, this is a 1914 Frank Shearer house. According to the National Register of Historic Places, submission document 2016 expansion, in quotes, this is a 2-story frame house with American 4-square massing, front-facing gable roof with shed dormers and OG-shaped rafter tails. Full-width porch with shed roof. Porch has rock-faced cast concrete piers supporting battered square posts. So that was specifically stated in our documents as a significant contributing factor to this structure. My concern is I totally understand that you would want some kind of railing for safety. That's totally understandable. My question is, so that you don't alter the look or the lines of the original railing that's there, and so that you don't block the beauty of that stone and the stone steps, would you consider doing a metal or an iron simple railing either on one side or both sides that would not disrupt the visual appeal of the home?
By that, Lisa, you're talking, it's Bill McBride, you're talking about a metal bar that would run down the inside of those stone piers on both sides. Is that right?
Yes, something that's very simple, that won't take away, it won't be noticeable. It'll be really strictly for functional use and for safety.
Lisa, I understand what you're saying. On the side of historic preservation, I've seen at least 3 houses in the village of our era and one on our street that's 10 years older than ours that was not built with the wooden railings. I really think that putting metal railing on there wouldn't be seen as much, but would be inappropriate for a 1916 house. That's why we never really considered putting the metal there.
This is Jenny Searle speaking. The Village of Pittsford's design guidelines for rehabilitation of historic houses, historic buildings, excuse me, not strictly houses, discusses porches and their railings. And a quotation is precise carpentry work is exhibited on porch railings. I think it's important that the new work match the details of the original porch railing. A question I had was, it's not entirely clear on the sketch that I have whether or not the railing, it's going to be on the south side of the house, the left side of the image as you're looking at it. Oh, I see, excuse me, there's a little arrow. So the posts and both upper posts and lower posts, as well as the railings in their entirety, will be inside the cheek walls. Those are called cheek walls around the stairs. That's what your intention is?
That's right.
Okay, and all the details will match the porch, including the battered detail on the post?
That's right.
Okay. another benefit to that, Lisa, I understand and appreciate the visual aspects of being able to see that nice rock-faced, very early concrete masonry. The railings as they are shown now are virtually removable. If in the future someone wanted to restore the porch to its original appearance, the railings as proposed can easily be removed without any damage to the original structure. It looks as though the top of that cheek wall has a very thin cap. Is that cap out of concrete or is it stone, Mr. and Mrs. Crooker?
It's concrete.
Concrete.
Okay. And as just an additional comment, if anyone were to suggest it, I would not recommend fastening anything into the concrete cap at all because it's old and it could not take it. I think your best opportunity to protect the original building materials is to install the posts and the railings as shown. And I believe that the railings and the posts are compatible with and in keeping with the architecture of the home. And certainly, historically, railings weren't there on the front porch, but I don't know what they did with the old folks. But I don't walk downstairs without my hand on a railing at all ever anymore.
Ginny, to the point. So I'm looking right here at the interiors, okay? It talks number 9, new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction, because that's what this would be, shall not destroy historic materials that categorize the property. So you're changing the visual of that front entrance and you're pulling those sides in significantly by adding that. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the mass scale. So you're basically changing the whole design of the railing to add that, when in actuality, we're just adding a functional piece for safety. So when you say that can be removed, well, yeah, pretty much anything could be removed and rebuilt, but that's changing the view of that house. I just can't understand how you can get by that. Number 10, new
I'm
addition.
sorry, I don't have my standards right in front of me.
Okay.
I can pull them up on my tablet.
Number 10, new additions and adjacent or related new construction shall be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, da 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 da. Right, but remember, now we're pulling that rail over, we're building another one, and we are significantly obscuring the beauty of the entrance, all that stonework.
Well, I'm gonna have to agree to disagree with you on obscuring the visibility of the stonework. I think it will still be seen through the railings.
Yeah, this is Steve. First off, it's not our purview whether we think it looks nice or not. That's got nothing. Well, you're saying it's going to take away from the view of that stone. What it's going to add. Lisa, let me finish, please.
That's not what I use. Go.
Please let me finish. All right, you're saying it's going to take away from the view of that stone. They brought the railings in so you'll still see the stone. The stairs are more than wide enough to handle this railing and still be wider than a standard staircase on any house in the village. All right, so it's legal. It makes proper egress. If these people need help getting up and down those stairs, and this is the way they choose to do it for their home, and it's proper for that house to match the railing, it falls within the purview of what they're allowed to do.
Okay, can I go? For the record, I did not say it would look better. I said it's obscuring, meaning that it's blocking the visual, and it is blocking the visual. You've got a bunch of woodwork on both sides blocking that visual of the intended view of the house, what the architect designed that porch to be. I am not denying them a railing. I'm just saying from looking at my documents, again, I'm not saying this would be better. I'm saying looking from the documents and going through just step by step, this is changing and altering this porch entrance significantly when it's only a functional reason and it can be obtained with a less heavy, just a metal bar or a wrought iron bar on one side or both, doesn't matter. But I'm just saying that it's changing the architectural detail of the home. I'm not saying it looks better or worse. I'm just saying that if we're doing it for function, that it needs to stay so that we disrupt this intent minimally.
This is Ginny Searle again. I agree with you, Lisa. This will change the appearance of the front porch. But I'm going to take exception to your calling on the standards 9 and 10 of the Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation. When they say new additions, they're talking about additions to a building. Hand railings are not an addition to the building. So I would.
Hand railings are not an addition to a building?
Those two standards, 9 and 10, are referring to additions to a building, a building addition to a building, not something as small as a handrail or something like that. They're talking about adding a 20 by 20 addition on someone's house or a 5,000 square foot addition on the back of the village hall. That's what they're talking about. When they mention new additions, that's what those two refer to, just so you understand. And I will also say that your vision and your approach is one that's not uncommon in preservation circles, and some boards and some architects and some owners prefer that method, but however people vote on this will be their own decision.
Okay, let me make another statement. Ginny, I don't see them specifying that this is just on major additions. They say new additions is one of them. Exterior alterations of any kind, okay? That is, I mean, I don't say it says exterior alterations on just some big massive thing. This is exterior alterations, and a railing is significant in the view and the architectural detail of a home. I would consider that exterior alteration.
The railings on the house are a character defining feature.
Correct.
And the new railing will be in addition to that character defining feature. It will not be in addition to the building.
This is
Well,
Jeff
it's an
Turner.
extension of, it's an extension of the railing character that exists.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, Bill. Thank you. That's well put.
But the placement of it is not going to be in keeping with the massive stone entrance that they have there. I mean, I walked around the village today. I probably have about 7 or 10 pictures I sent all of you. I didn't have you, Ginny, because I didn't have your email. But I sent pictures of very nicely done homes in the village that have the wood railing, that have stone steps and stone columns like this, that use either a very simple wrought iron railing or a simple bar railing that's very, very functional, safe, and does not disrupt this home's visual.
You know, I think one of those pictures you sent, this Bill McBride, one of those pictures you sent had the railing on top of the stone features. Is that not correct?
Yes, one of them.
Yes. The problem here with that is we would likely destroy that stone, that historic stone, by putting it on top of the. So that's not an option.
Yeah.
So this is Jeff Turner. I'm looking at standard number 9. And Lisa, I think you need to focus on the destruction part of this. We're not going to be destroying any historic materials with this application. I'm not speaking to whether or not the application is appropriate for the house. I'm just speaking to standard number 9, which does speak in terms of destruction of historic material.
You're correct.
And as I understand it, that's not going to happen.
And number 10 refers to removability. So it can be removed in the future.
But as I said, Jeff Turner again, I'm not speaking to whether or not if this application is architecturally appropriate. I'm just trying to clarify the standards we've been discussing.
Well,
Lisa, you're not talking about it destroying that significant feature. You're saying it impacts the view of that significant feature, right?
It impacts the architectural style of the home, and it was not the intent to have a wood railing going down the sides of stone pillars. I'm just going back to the architect who built that house. Now, yeah, he didn't worry about safety. There's a lot of stairs in the village that don't have railings, but I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm just saying that if we're doing this just for function, a simple, pretty metal bar, one or both sides would be very, it would not change this view from, or disrupt the visual of the significant, beautiful stone work on the home. I think a lot of wood railings is gonna block the beauty of that entrance.
Could
Can
I
I
ask a
speak?
question, Ken Morrow?
Go ahead,
I
Ken.
was just wondering what the Crooker's opinion was of steel versus wood.
You mean a steel bar?
Yeah, I've seen them in many places around the village, and I've talked to other people about it. My personal opinion, because I am a lover of historic preservation, is that a metal bar is completely inappropriate for our house. In fact, put the railings there. Yes, they're for safety, ours and other people who visit us. But we wanted the safety aspect to be something that was in keeping with 1916. And when I've looked at many houses from that era, they would not have had a metal bar going down there. And so that's why I would hate to think we'd be denied having railings because we don't want a metal bar, but we don't want a metal bar.
Can I speak?
No, I have metal bars on my house. Sometimes I wonder if they're original or not, but they're on like these stone stairs. Well, they're not stone, they're concrete.
Right.
Yeah, ours are too.
There's no
But I
stone.
don't have wood. You know, they come up the stairs. They come up the stairs and then they go, you know, around the porch, keep
Mhm.
going in metal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like metal and then wood. But
Yeah.
they do have that. I mean, they're fair, you know, they're kind of nice.
Can I
But
make a
that's
comment?
not an analogous situation to this style of house.
Can I make an,
I'd like to speak. Go
this is
ahead,
Lisa.
Lisa.
I'm sorry, Steve. If your steps would have been wood, absolutely, this would have made sense. But most concrete steps, I don't think I've seen any in the village. I mean, I didn't walk the whole village today, but I walked a lot of the village today. Not saying that we have to go with whatever's there, but I'm just saying that most of the time when you've got cement steps, it's not very often that you have wood railings.
This is Ginny Searle speaking again. For those of you who have metal pipe railings, are they at your front entry or a side entry or a rear entry?
Both, front and back.
Both?
Yeah.
Who else mentioned they had metal railings? Was that you, Lisa?
The cobblestone house has metal railings in the entrance coming into the entrance of the house. The old school house.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to, this is Steve again. Yes, this is for function and safety, but there's nothing wrong with these people having something that they wish and they think or feel is appropriate for their house that they've lived in for 45 years. You know, they should have a choice of what they also put on this, as long as it's appropriate for it to match the porch railings that are existing. If they were doing something completely different and out of character, I could see where you might have an issue, but they're going to match the existing posts, spindles, top, bottom rail, exactly as what's already pre-existing on the home.
This is Bill McBride. I want to call our attention to two valid points that have been made here over the evening. One is the wooden rails would be an extension of the style and the character of the railings that already exist on that porch.
Yes,
Um,
agreed.
Secondly, importantly, they are removable if at some future date somebody decides that they're not appropriate or they're not to their liking. The third
Yes.
thing I would add is that the way it's designed, picking up the same style as the existing railings around the porch, it doesn't destroy the view of those piers on the side, those stone piers on the side. They are still fully viewable. So I understand Lisa's concern that there is a change to the character of the steps and the front of the house. But is that change in character so significant that it negates the other elements that we just talked about that are on the positive side of this railing? That's the question I pose to the board. Any thoughts?
I'm sorry, would you repeat the question?
I think it is. This is Lisa Cove. I think,
I'm sorry, Lisa, you're cut out.
Bill, this is Lisa. I think it is.
Yeah.
I think that, oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Again, obviously, I think it is. I think that we can offer railings to this owner that's less obtrusive. I'm not doing it because I think it's going to look better. I am just honoring the architect's original design, and I don't want the beautiful stonework obstructed.
Well, we've always used the stonework. We've put pots of flowers there that are matching pots. We've always designated that as a significant part of our house, and that's not going to change when we have railings inside of those piers.
Mhm.
How about anybody else thoughts on this?
I'd just like to ask, are you planning on moving the one post, say, on the right side as you approach the stairs? You're gonna move that over to the left a little bit and then have the wood railing come up inside the stone to where the new location for the post is?
Yeah, I think we have to do that.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, you're gonna have a little post.
Yeah, the exact same post inside the pier with it standing there that looks just like it.
And these things are like stone with concrete caps on them. That's how they're set up.
Actually, there's no stonework there. It's all concrete.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's rock face concrete masonry units. Jenny Searle.
Yeah.
Yeah, blocks that were made to look like stone. As you can see, there is some deterioration to them. And I
There's
don't,
a lot. Excuse me, Pete. Pardon me. Go ahead.
and I'm concerned if you look at the left side, how some of it has been broken away. I'm not sure anybody can replace that nowadays, but I would very much like to do that. That's a different subject.
Jenny Searle again. There's a significant amount of this block work on that building. The amount of obstruction caused by these railings is very minimal. You'll be able to see through the railings. It's not a solid rail.
This is Lisa Cove again. I'm just looking at this drawing again, and if you look at the left pillar that's going to be built, you've got it right over the top of that cement.
Oh,
there.
it's not
It's
going to be.
Nobody's
There's a little
gonna
arrow at the
build,
bottom.
nobody's
Okay,
gonna
so-
build a column over the top of that other concrete thing. A competent carpenter is going to put the post
Right.
where a line's parallel to put a rail down to the bottom. The drawing doesn't depict that, but you should be able to look and say that the railing's going to go parallel to the concrete walls, and the post above will be parallel with the bottom one, and there'll be a small little rail between the left-hand pillar and the new post on the left-hand side.
And
There's a
I think
little,
this would have
there's a
been,
little arrow at the bottom of the post. It's not a pillar, it's a post. There's a little arrow at the bottom indicating that that post will be shifted somewhat from where it's located in the photograph.
right. And I think you'd have had a better picture of it if we'd had an architect. We didn't. We just sketched it on there in the way
Right.
that we hoped you could see it.
So,
I think you're pretty creative in that drawing.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I understand.
This is Lisa again. Steve, I'm just making a point that this drawing is not accurate as far as distance goes. And wait a minute, there's gonna have to be a railing, a little piece of railing in between that pillar that goes over to that,
Yep.
goes over to that cement pillar, correct?
Yep.
There's,
Correct.
all right,
No
so there's
cement pillar anywhere.
gonna have to be an additional little railing. I'm just saying that this drawing is not exactly the way it's gonna be built. So I'm just telling you that this is not accurate when it comes to placement. I mean, now that we've brought it up, but nobody brought that up before. So obviously, that's gonna bring in both sides more so than what it looks on this drawing. So just take note of that. I'm just saying, everybody needs to take note of that. So now we've got another additional wood railing up against that stone.
Are you
Right,
speaking of the left-hand post? This is Jenny Searle. Left-hand post?
Yes.
I don't believe, well, it would be Steve's decision, but it's not clear to me that there needs to be any railing that's going to return to the column that is supporting the wood column of the post, the wood column of the porch.
Well, I don't know, but I'm just looking at how thick this stone top is. I don't know how wide that is. But whatever the width of that top is going to be the space that's going to be on that porch.
That's fine.
Okay.
It's going to be what it's going to be, because I don't believe there's a code. If there's not a code requirement for a railing there right now, there's probably not a code requirement for a railing there when the porch post is there.
I don't know. I don't know about code requirement. I'm just saying that from visually, you're going to have, I don't know, that looks like about 8 inches, maybe 10 inches wide. So you'll have
Yeah,
a 10.
looks to be around 10 inches wide, and they would more than likely have a little piece of rail which matches the other side, so aesthetically it looks correct.
So
One vertical rail.
So they
But then
will.
excuse me, you need to think about what that means to the construction. If you do that, then you're asking them to fasten into that delicate, rare, historic building material with something that will destroy it.
No,
It's far better for the stonework, for the concrete work, to not have anything attached to it at all.
if this is Steve again. If you look where the right-hand rail attaches to the stone pillar, it is attached to that stone pillar. The top and bottom of the right-hand rail is attached to the stone pillar. Anybody who is competent can also attach a very small piece of railing to the left-hand pillar without destroying it, with putting a minimal hole in it, because a railing is more aesthetic than functional. The post will be functional by its construction and being allowing to hold the weight and to be fair or be right. The little handrail you would put on the left-hand side as you look at that drawing will be fastened exactly the same way as the one that's on the right pre-existing.
And the person that we've engaged to do this work assured me that he could do that without damaging it, and he felt very confident about it.
So therefore, we will be attaching the new railing to the stone?
Just a little piece of handrail, yes. The top, the horizontal rail that attaches to the left-hand post will be attached to that post to make it aesthetically correct, because you have to fill that space. That will be more than a 4-inch space between that new post on the left-hand side and the stone pillar. You can't leave that 10-inch gap there and make it correct.
Correct. Right.
Right.
So everybody understands that, right? Because it's going to look different than what this picture is.
Excuse me a minute. Is anyone else seeing Mary at the bottom of the screen? This is Jenny Searle.
Yep.
Is
Yeah.
that somebody who's supposed to be here? I
don't
only
know.
ask because I've heard stuff about meetings getting hacked.
I don't,
A person is allowed to call in and watch and
Okay.
listen. Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay, thank you.
they
Mary,
don't interrupt.
welcome.
Where's Mary? I don't see her. Oh, at the top.
She's
Okay,
in
all
and
right.
muted. They are allowed to watch and listen.
Okay. You know, could I possibly give a little summary of, I'm switching between the screen here and the photographs, and it just seems to me that if we were to roll the clock back to 1916, so they built this house and they decided to put the wood railings in, and I think they look pretty nice. And they have that wood thing that you grow plants on, whatever that's called, and then the stone pillars and steps and all that, and they look nice. Now, if it were 1916 and you were to put iron railings in there, etc., I suppose it would look okay. I think the wood looks a little better. So now let's roll the clock up forward to 2020. Now, if we want to put iron railings in like the ones on my house, I mean, they got those in 1905. I'm not sure where you're going to get them anymore and what they look like. They might be more like a fabricated steel, like a tube, not like a solid cast iron railing. So I'm not exactly sure what they look like. Or, some of these things have, like threaded pipe with joints, and they're threaded together and then painted. On the other hand, the proposal is to extend the wood down to the sidewalk level, and it would probably look exactly like the other wood railings. So I think that's really a summary in the question, and to me, I think one of the big questions is, if you're going to put in steel or iron, what's that going to look like compared to this wood? So, and my guess is, unless you got some good connection to a place that had exactly the length you're looking for, et cetera, you're probably not going to be able to get some, pardon me, 1910 grade cast iron railings.
Can I speak again? The other thing on your point, Ken, I want to point out something. If you're talking about a metal rail on the front of this house, all right, and you don't want to affect or touch the stonework, where are you attaching a metal rail on the left-hand side? You are attaching it to the wood or to the concrete post at the top of the porch. And then also, you're not going to attach a metal railing into either one of those concrete walls when they are deteriorating. You would have to bring a metal rail down with a leg and attach it to the sidewalk in the exact same place as the wood post that she's proposing. So you're still going to block a little less blocking of the visual of those stone walls, but the attachment point and the physical rail would have to be in the exact same place that they proposed the wood rails in order to be functional and not attach and try to use the concrete walls at the bottom.
I think what they'd have
This
to
is
do
Lisa
is
again.
put like some type of plate on there, like a larger, you know, not diameter, but square or rectangular plate, like a big plate to keep it from going
That
back
would
and
have, listen, that would go under the porch. Jenny Searle again. That stuff goes under the porch. If they want to put a metal railing up there, they will have to either fasten to a reinforced wood frame for the porch, or else take that post all the way down to the dirt with some kind of a footing that it's set into to meet the lateral load requirements of the code. It's not a simple thing to do any of this.
right.
This is Lisa Cove. Going back to Ken's thoughts about if we went back to 1914 and this builder was building this house and he was going to put railings down there, I don't think he would have done the cement work. He would have done very traditional wood steps like all the other houses. He would have put the railings down. And yes, then it would have been appropriate. But that's not what he did. He put these pillars in and he put this stonework in for a reason. So now we're in 2020 and we need a functional railing so people are safe walking up and down their stairs. So do we change the intent of what the architect built? Or do we give or
Lisa, excuse me, you're speculating about the architect's intent. Maybe the owner didn't want
No,
it.
I'm not.
Maybe
This
the
is
original owner didn't want
this
it.
is what he's been.
If you think an architect designed this house, I think you're wrong.
What?
If you think
I'm
an
sorry?
architect designed this house, I think you're wrong. Most historic houses were built by carpenters.
Okay, well,
They-
whoever designed it, that's what I'm our job is to keep it historically significant, what it was when it was here first built. That's what our job is, to try to keep everything to exactly the way it was when it was here. That's what our charge is. It's not to decide what looks better, right? It's not to decide what looks better. It's to try to maintain and preserve what was originally built in our village. That is my understanding. And if I'm wrong, you know that.
May I please read you, Jenny Searle again? May I please read you the paragraph that applies to the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation?
The very first paragraph?
Yes, the standards, I'm not starting at the first sentence. The standards for rehabilitation are the most lenient of the preservation standards developed by the Park Service. The overall goal of the standards is to allow practical, contemporary use of historic structures. Rehabilitation is used in the standards, as used in the standards is defined as the process of returning a property to a state of utility through repair or alteration to make possible an efficient contemporary use while preserving those portions and features of the property that are significant to its historical, architectural, and cultural values. Our job, these standards don't say don't make any changes unless it's exactly what the original architect intended. You're speculating. You can't ask him. If there was an architect or a builder, they were doing what their client wanted them to do. Maybe their client didn't want stairs. So in the spirit of our ordinance and in the spirit of the Secretary of the Interior standards, allowing alterations that are appropriate and compatible with and in keeping with the architectural design of the building is what we need to look at.
Could I interject something? We have the original plans to the house. They're on like brown wrapping paper.
Mhm.
And really the shearers, you paid water bills here. We have the sign that he used to put out on the house to say pay water bills here. And it's really not an architect or anything else. The sketches are drawn. This was a family that needed a house to live in. His daughter came here decades ago, bringing the pieces of a stained glass window that were in the house by the fireplace because she was in town. But she came in and told us she was married in front of our fireplace and how much the house meant to her. And we have since put the stained glass back together. But I hesitate to suggest what Frank Shearer intended for the front. What he intended was to have a house for his family.
Okay.
And I don't think that we want to do anything that changes the look or the style of our house because we love it. And so I would just say that if we get to have the railings come down, you're still going to see the piers. They're still going to be a significant part of the front view.
Okay, I'm gonna bring this to a head. Okay, Bill McBride, I'm gonna call for a vote. The issue that each one of us has to wrestle with is if we do as the applicant has proposed, are we permanently changing and altering the visual character of this property, the front of this property? So we all have to answer that for ourselves. We can debate this subject all night, but I'm going to make a motion that
Bill,
we move.
Bill, can I interrupt? Bill, Jeff Turner here.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Yeah.
I think the issue is also whether or not the changes they've requested are they compatible with the house and with the district?
Jenny Searle, may I also add,
In the district.
does the application, if implementing the application is an adverse impact to the structure, that's preservation determinations. Does it adversely impact the structure? Is it compatible with, in keeping with, and does it adversely impact the structure?
On a permanent basis, Jenny?
I don't think it needs to be, well, yeah, probably permanent, but I'm not sure that's entirely necessary in this case.
Yeah, right.
You didn't want to come down? Okay.
Okay,
Take them
all
out the
right.
door.
Okay, so
Take
each
them out the door.
one of us has to assess that. Let me ask the board this. Is it appropriate that we table this for more homework and maybe even get an outside architect consultant to give us their opinion of this? What do you think, board?
Are you
wanna do
polling the
that?
board? I don't think that's necessary. It's not my opinion that it's
All
necessary.
right, okay. Then I'm gonna make a motion that we act on this. And it will go as follows. The applicant has a house that was built in 1914. And it appears that the porch today is similar to what was originally built, with a wooden porch, a wooden railing around it, and two piers down the sides of the steps to the house that are concrete, and the steps are concrete. The applicant has proposed railings on both sides that would duplicate the style and design of the railings around the porch, and including the fence posts, two at the top, two new ones at the bottom. One at the top would be moved over to align with the way the railing has to run down the side on the right. And that would be done by extending the fence about, 6 inches or so. The one on the left would be, the post on the left would be new, but it would be a duplication of the other post, and it would need to be fastened in some form to the concrete pillars, pillar singular. The railing down sides would be duplicate of the railing railing around the porch in terms of materials, in terms of design, style, including the handrail at the top and bottom, similar to the handrail that exists on the railing around the porch. There would be 2 new posts at the bottom that would be duplicates, wooden duplicates of the posts at the top. Anything that I left out, anybody wants to add? So the style of the railings down the side would be identical to the style of the railings around the porch that exists now and appear to be very historical. The new railings would not in any way damage the stone on the piers on the sides of the steps, but would be fastened to something other than those stones, the concrete at the bottom. With that, I make a motion to approve as proposed. Do I have a second?
Harrington seconds.
Okay, how do we vote? Let's start with Lisa Cove.
Bill?
Lisa votes no. Next,
Bill,
Mark?
Bill,
Yes.
Linda's going to do a roll call vote.
What's
Okay,
that?
Linda's going to do a roll call vote.
Okay, all right, okay, all right.
Okay,
You want to
we'll
start
see.
over again, Linda, on the vote?
yeah, we'll start with you. Member McBride,
I vote to approve as proposed.
Member Cove? Was that a no?
Lisa?
Lisa's muted.
Okay,
You're muted.
looks like a no.
No for me. Thank you.
Okay, Member Morrow,
Yes.
Member Harrington,
Yes.
Member Searle.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Oh, okay, the motion is approved as proposed. You can, congratulations, you can work with Steve to ensure that you get all the approvals in writing.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Bill, before we let the Crookers go, he did ask a question about repair to that cement work. I don't know, Ginny, do you have any thoughts on that?
My thought is there's no way.
Yeah.
I think the best you could do is find a mason who's familiar with restoration mortars. It's like paste and they can put it on there. It'll be a patch. You could patch it. But unless it's chipped so far that it's a structural concern, you're better off just leaving it.
Yeah, it isn't chipped like that.
Yeah, you're better off just sealing it if you possibly can. So
No, do not seal historic masonry materials at all. Do not seal them.
Thank you.
I have one suggestion. The posts should sit on some sort of like a little plinth. You can get little steel, I'm holding up my finger, about an inch high, where the exact size of the post, it keeps the wood from being in contact with wet material. So it's and it allows it to dry underneath. So both
Our
top and
builders
bottom,
build it.
both on the porch and at the bottom, one of those little plinth blocks. I think it's Ives. There was a manufacturer named Ives, IVES, that you used to be able to get them from, whether or not they're making them still or not, or else Simpson Strong Tie, Simpson choice tires and stuff like that. They may have something. It just keeps it'll keep the bottom of the post from rotting.
Yeah,
Our builder anticipated that. He said that that's the way he was going to do the bottom posts.
Excellent. I'm going to write down his name and number.
Okay,
Good, he's a good boy. I call him a boy.
because he was one of his students.
There's
Oh,
no,
because,
no
what is
boy.
he, 55? Is he 55?
Yeah.
And unofficially, I would urge you to continue to use those two piers on both sides as
Yeah.
planters, so they
Oh,
don't get lost. And
no, we love that.
I'd like to, we'd both like to thank the work that the Historic Preservation Board does for the village. And I'd like to also thank the staff from the village, Dorothea, Linda, and Steve, who is a really very good communicator, for all the work that they did. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very
well, I
much.
appreciate your patience. This was a tough issue for this board,
Yeah, of
and
course, we
uh,
expect
but we got a decision.
Yeah,
Thank you
Mr.
very
Miss Kruger,
Yes.
Miss Kruger, I will get a hold of you tomorrow and go through the steps of how to proceed.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
Good night, folks.
Night.
Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Good
Bye.
night.
Okay. Well, that was a.
Linda, do we need to do the minutes? Linda, do we need to do the minutes?
Yes, we've got 2 minutes that we've got to cover.
Jeez.
Since I did not attend either of those meetings, I would just as good say goodnight.
Yeah, no, you can sign off, Jenny.
This is Jane Searle. Since it's
Okay.
recorded. Okay, thanks, guys.
Hey, welcome to the board, Jenny.
Well, it's fun.
Ginny, at some point, we're gonna have to figure out how to do your oath of office. You'll need to be reappointed tomorrow because you were appointed to refill a term, and at some
Okay.
point, we gotta do the oath.
Well,
We'll figure
I've got
that
a
out.
mask. I've got a
I
mask.
have one too. Okay,
All right.
it appears Linda has stepped away. I'm not, and she's somewhere.
Oh, well, she's got to be present for the review of the
Yeah, I
previous
see her
minutes.
lamp. That's about it right now. Just
She's
give her a
signed off.
second. No, I show her active.
Yeah, she's on.
She's still active. I don't know where she went. Oh no,
Maybe
she
she
signed
just
off.
muted.
Nope, she's off.
Okay, well, can we go ahead and approve the
doesn't need
minutes
to be-
without her?
You can approve minutes and just note where your changes are, and she'll have the recording to go by to do whatever corrections or changes the board needs, or the approval will be there.
Okay. Well, the minutes that I have in front of me are the last February 10 minutes. And everybody should have a copy of those. Tell me when you're ready to approve or not approve. Give everybody a minute to review those if you haven't.
I have a question on that. It shows me on the meeting on the 10th being absent for the first part of that and not the second part.
Weren't you late for that meeting?
I don't
For
think
the start
so.
of that meeting?
Well, I could have been because I was coming back from from Strong with the bleeding ulcer stuff, so I could have come back here late. That's true.
Yeah, as I recall, you were a little late.
Yep. Okay. You're right. You're 100% right. That's right.
That's all right. You can still approve the rest of the
Sure.
applications. Okay. I vote to approve the February 10 Bill McBride, the February 10 minutes. Do I have any other votes?
Lisa Cove, second.
Okay. So you approve.
Would you like me to do a roll call?
Yes, Dorothea, please.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Member Cove,
Yes.
Member Morrow,
Yes.
Member Harrington,
Yes.
Member McBride.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And Nana is not available for
Correct.
his approval. Okay. Let's see, the other set for approval was struggling to find the January meeting.
You're talking about the March 9th, 2020?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I forget we're in.
Yeah.
Everybody have that in front of them? Can they review it?
Yep.
We just lost you. Did anybody else?
I'm here.
Oh,
Somebody, do you want to do a roll call on?
Somebody's got to move it. Somebody's got to move acceptance. of-
I move to approve. Do I have a second?
Lisa Cove, second.
Okay, how do we vote? Do we have a roll
Roll
call
call.
for the vote?
Yep. Member Cove,
Yes.
Member Harrington,
Yes.
Member Morrow,
Yes.
Member McBride.
Yes,
Motion passes.
and no Nana.
No, Nana.
Okay, all right. And that's it, right? That was the last one we have to approve, right?
That's all you have.
Yeah. By the way, I'd just like to say, I think everybody did a really good job on a difficult issue tonight. And Lisa, you certainly raised valid points all the way through.
I think if I wouldn't have gone through the steps that because originally when I saw this application, I said, oh yeah, that looks good. That's gonna wrap right around just like everything else. But then when I broke it down and went through each step he recommended, I just started to, look at it differently. And I mean, so that's kind of where I came from. I really tried to be as concrete in asking the questions that the preservation asked and not muddy what I think would look better. And that's kind of where I came from. So
Yeah, no,
That's
I
it.
know.
That's where I really went to, and I answered the questions as they related to this application, and that's kind of how I came up with this.
Yeah, and part of the problem was the alternatives. I thought long and hard about whether you could put this on top of the existing stone, which there's a precedence for. And
Well, yeah, it's interesting though. When I looked at the Frank Shear houses all over the nation, there's a bunch of them in Baltimore. Any of them that had a railing was all done in metal. And I sent you probably 5 or 6. I sent Ken. I sent you guys all the village homes that have a cement stairs with metal railings, and they look very nice and they don't obstruct anything. I did do a lot of work to justify where I came up with my answer. Not to
well, it was a difficult issue. It wasn't a simple thing, as we know. We could have debated that all night long, probably.
I really appreciate all of the work that you did, because I looked at all of the photography on that and really thought about it. It was, to me, it was almost a toss up. And, but because I could see both sides of that story, and it wasn't an easy decision.
Yeah.
No, right. Yep.
That's this whole thing, and I appreciate the difference in everybody, because that's what the whole board's supposed to be about. You're each supposed to have your own unique take on the preservation. Each person who reads it, that's the whole intent of it. You, Lisa, see it and read it in one way. Ken will read it another. Mark will read another. Bill will read another, and I read another. And that's the whole point of having everybody involved.
As we know, preservation isn't black and white at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, guys.
Okay, folks. Well, thank you. And
Thank you.
this worked out very well as a format for doing this, and we may end up doing it for our next meeting, depending upon what's going on in the world.
We'll keep you posted, but you're going to need a motion to close.
Yeah, we have 4
I-
applications already for next month.
Yeah, that's right. We've got 2 applications. I
Well-
make a motion to close this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second,
Lisa
How do
Cove,
we
second.
vote?
Okay. Member Cove,
Yes.
Member Harrington,
yes?
Member Morrow,
Yes.
Member McBride.
Yes.
Your motion passes.
Okay.
Okay.